Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new battle report. It's Warhammer Age of Sigmar battle report, and it's part of a mini tournament that they did in the game store, in the Games Workshop game store in Brussels, where we played a pairs tournament, and each team have two armies of 50 wounds. I played with Bretonia together with Wood Elves, and in the first game we played against the Empire and High Elves. There was not any type of com in the list making, so you can do 50 wounds. The only limit was to do 50 wounds. This is the only limitation, so there were not com in terms of how much you can spend on heroes or monsters. And there were three main house rules. The main is that the units that have shooting capacity, if they are in close combat, they only can shoot to the opponent that they are in close combat with. And if you are not in close combat, they cannot shoot into another close combat. So this is limiting a little bit the shooting abilities. The next one is any other unit is blocking line of sight, so you cannot shoot through your own units unless you are a war machine. Then we measure everything from the bases. And the last one, I think the most impactful, in each turn, we don't roll to see who is the first player in each turn. So the player that starts the game is always the first in each turn. So you will see that we always do alternative turns, and there is no way that you have two turns in a row in these games. Let's go first to the list. So Bretonia is the army that I play. I play with Lowenlencore, the king, 9 Knights of the Realm with Trumpeter, Banner, Champion, 3 Pegasus Knights with Champion and Trumpeter, and 5 Grial Knights with Banner. I don't have all the options because I try to play with the units that with the miniatures that I have, so this is why I'm limiting myself in the options for each unit. The Wood Elves, my colleague, is playing with a Glade Lord with the special arrow that can do once per game 3d6 shots. A Sorcerer, Glade Riders, 5 Glade Riders, 5 Glade Riders, 10 Way Watchers, and 10 Way Watchers. So a lot of shooting from my colleague. And we play against our opponents. The Empire comes with Calfrance, Empire Cannon, and 30 crossbow, so a lot of shooting too, and a very strong close combat unit, a close combat guy. And the High Elves are coming with Lothern Sea Helm, so 1 hero, 6 Illyrian Rivers, and 21 Lothern Sea Guard. So a lot of shooting also from our opponents. Both armies have a lot of shooting. The deployment, and here I have to apologize, I didn't take pictures of the deployment, so I make some diagrams. Indeed, I was so excited to play my first game that I forgot to take pictures until we did the movement in our first turn. So let's start with the deployment. In blue are our opponents, and starting from the left, the C is the cannon, then we have a unit of rivers, the H is the High Elf hero, remember the Sea Guard hero. Then they have the Sea Guard, the 21, the 30 crossbow, using deployed in the middle of the deployment zone, the Calfrance in our right, and another unit of rivers. In our case, we do a quite symmetrical deployment. We use the Knights to protect our shooting units. So I decided to put the Pegasus in front of one of the Glade Riders. Next to that, 1 Way Watchers and the Sorcerer behind a building. So all these brown areas are terrain, and they give 1+1 to armor for cover, except the one that is next to the Sorcerer, that is a house and is blocking line of sight, and you cannot go in. It's impassable terrain. So, but the rest is just terrain that we roll alternative to see what type of terrain is. It's a random terrain, and they give 1 to armor, so they give cover. So I put my following with the deployment. So as I say, Pegasus Knights, Glade Riders, Way Watchers, the Sorcerer behind the building. Then I put the big unit of Realm Knights, or Knights of the Realm, in the middle. Lowenlencore also at the limit of our deployment inside of this terrain to give some extra cover. Next to him, the hero of the Wood Elves, the Glade, the Glade hero, and then we have the Way Watchers, Grial Knights, and the Glade Riders behind the Grial Knights. They finish first in the deployment, so they go first. They decide to go first, and they move Karl Franz very aggressively in front of Lowenlenkoor. The Reavers also move ahead in both sides, try to be in range of shooting, and the Sea Guard and the crossbow just move a little bit to the front, just to be in range to see if they can do some shooting. At the end, I think the Sea Guard and the crossbow were out of range. They killed one Pegasus and one Grial Knights in all the shooting together. So, and then they did the extra movement of the Reavers to move them a little bit to the back. There were no souls, so we go into turn 1 for Bretonia. So we move quite aggressively. I move Lowenlenkoor just in front of Karl Franz, but giving line of sight to the Glade Riders to be able to shoot. So the plan is that we shoot as much as we can to the Karl Franz and to take out some wounds, and then I will charge with Lowenlenkoor. The Glade Riders on the other side move next to the Reavers to exchange some shooting, and I moved the Pegasus Knights next to the Reavers 3 inches away to see, depending on the distance, I will assault the Reavers, and if roll high enough, I will assault the cannon. So I think here our opponents were too aggressive with Karl Franz in turn 1, and they exposed him too much. So giving us a big opportunity to be able to do a lot of damage to Karl Franz. So yeah, it goes to the shooting. We scratched some wounds on Karl Franz. We did some wounds on the cannon. They decide to put the wounds directly on the cannon itself. So they want to keep the crew safe and just use the cannon to receive the wounds. And then we go into the assault. And in the assault, Lowenlenkoor do a tete-to-tete with Karl Franz. Karl Franz, I think, had received at this point 4 wounds, something like that. So Lowen had a little bit of advantage there. And the Pegasus Knights roll high enough to arrive to the cannon. The Pegasus Knights completely destroy the cannon and the crew. And Lowenlenkoor kill the king of the emperor, killed the emperor. And yeah, I was very unlucky with the Sword of Kuron, but then the Griffon and the Hippogriff finalized the work, and with the attack that caused d6 damage, I did the last 6 wounds that Karl Franz had. So big turn, first turn for Bretonia, and now we have some pictures. So here is the picture of our movement, where I move quite aggressive with, you can see that I forgot to mention, my Knights of the Realm move in these rings in the middle, so I try to use the terrain as a protection. I think this is one of the big changes between Warhammer 8th edition and Age of Sigmar. Now it's better to go to the terrain. The terrain is interacting much more with the units, and and you want to use the terrain because it's giving you some benefits that you don't want to avoid. So in this way, I move all my knights inside of these rings. Here is the other flank, and after the movement, you see the Pegasus Knights just in front of the Reavers. I move it there because they wanted to shoot to the cannon, and they don't want to shoot to the Reavers. So, and then I will decide, depending on the distance that I roll for charge, if I charge the cannon or the Reavers. This is another big difference in the Age of Sigmar. You don't need to declare a charge. You roll, and then depending on the distance that you roll, you can decide where to charge. Another picture on the same angle. Here we see again the knights well protected inside of these ruins to have 3+ armor save. And here is the movement of Lowenlenkoor just in front of the of Karl Franks, and my diagram was not clear, but here you see that the Glade Riders have some line of sight with the Karl Franks. He's so big that they will be able to shoot, and in the ruins just at the bottom of the picture, the Weight Watchers are also placed inside of the ruins to be able to shoot at the same Karl Franks. Here we see the Weight Watchers on the other side trying to shoot to the Sigurd. And here another picture of the flank, the real knights trying to also to follow the speed of the king. Just this trophy that is behind the real knights is the one that I'm using, the goblet, the ones I'm using for the special rule of the real knights, and to remind me that they can reroll if I say for the lady before rolling. Well, picture on the same flank, and here an overview of the battle from the opposite flank. A close up on the same flank. We did some after getting to the pictures, we did maybe. Here we see the Pegasus Knights assault and kill the cannon, and here we see Lowen Corps in a tete-to-tete with Karl Franks. Of course, we decide to start with the fight, so I decided to start with Lowen Corps, as you can imagine. I was not scared of the attacks of the cannon crew, and yeah, Lowen Corps managed to kill the remaining wounds on Karl Franks. I think at this point Karl Franks had 6 wounds. Here we see again and a close-up of the big fight, I think was one of the most important fights in this game. Here is my roll when using the Sword of Curon. The last dice is another one, so it's a roll of 6 and 5 ones. Really unlikely. I wanted to make a picture because I don't think I will repeat. And to be fair, I forgot here the rule that Lowen Corps can reroll this. So yeah. But anyway, even without the reroll, you see Karl Franks is killed. And also here the cannon. And we go into the turn 2 for the Empire. I have to say that maybe our opponent that was playing with the Empire get a little bit demotivated after the loss of Karl Franks. Losing one of your key pieces or one of your favorite pieces on the game can demotivate you and make more mistakes after that. So this is the next movement. So the Reavers just move to the side. I have to say that I didn't assault with the Real Knights because I missed completely the assault. I need a 7 and I roll a 5. So the Real Knights, I was a little bit disappointed because they should be able to kill the Reavers, but they missed in the assault. So going back to the turn 2 of the High Elves and the Empire. So the Reavers move to the middle, the Sigurd move close to my Knights of the Realm, the other Reavers move in front of the Weight Watchers, and the hero move close to the Sigurd to keep to use the special rules to make them stronger. Here we see the movements and how my knights in the middle are getting surrounded by the forces of the Empire of the High Elves. Here you see the Reavers next to the building. This is the building I was talking about, and the sorcerer is just on the other side. All the other ones we consider random terrain and giving +1 to cover. I don't go into detail because I don't remember what we roll for each one. There is a dice on each one telling me what is, but there was nothing that was causing dangerous terrain checks. Here we see the Weight Watchers here have been quite disseminated with the shooting of the glade of the Reavers. Sorry. See, this unit of 10 Weight Watchers is quite thin at this moment. There are only 5. And the shooting of the what's called this, the Sigurd will kill the Pegasus. see the Pegasus are not there, they are going to be shot down by the Sigmar. A picture of overall of the terrain. We see there the 30 crossbow in the middle of the battlefield. Quite a dangerous unit. For here still is before the shooting, before the penalty shooting. And here a subjective view from the Pegasus. See that the crossbow can have a very nice line, and now this is the Sigmar have a very clean shot to the Pegasus. So they do the shooting, and in our right flank everything shoots to Lowen Lincoln. At this moment they still have the 10 wounds, and I think they cause about 6 wounds on Lowen Lincoln, so a lot of damage to him. And the Sigmar completely killed the Pegasus with the shooting. So the Pegasus were completely lost, and the Weight Watchers very thin down. And then we go into the assault. He decided to assault with the Sigmar, with the Reavers, into my real knights. I was not too scared because I was, at this moment my real knights are still immune to what's called this, to the breaking test. So because Lowen and Core give them immune to bravery, and and the Reavers just assault the remaining Weight Watchers and kill them all. So there in the middle we have some wounds on the Sigmar, some wounds on the Reavers, and some wounds on my real knights, but they get all stuck in close combat. Here we see the assault to the Weight Watchers, and they kill them all. Again, the 6 Reavers assaulting the Weight Watchers. And here the big melee in the middle of the battlefield, and the High Elves surrounding the Knights, but the Knights resist quite well. I'm rolling at this moment 3 armor save because I have the cover of the building, of the ruins. What's up? More pictures of the same combat. And we go into the turn 2 for Bretonia and Wood Elves. So I decided to move Lowen and Core next to the crossbow, but I will assault. They are next to a forest, so I will use the forest to give protection to Lowen and Core. At this point, I didn't know that the crossbows can shoot at you when you assault them, and this was a nasty surprise that I had when I assault the crossbow. The Guild Knights move closer also to assault the crossbow, and the Wood Elves just reshuffle to get positions to be able to shoot to different units. Here we see a little bit at the end of the picture the repositioning of the Wood Elves, the Guild Knights getting close to the crossbow, and Lowen and Core in the forest. Another picture, the big unit of crossbow, and Lowen and Core is just behind this tree, and the Guild Knights also. I think they need a 6 to assault at this moment, to charge. In the other side, the Glade Riders just prepare to shoot some arrows on the Reavers, and all the Wood Elves shoot to the unit of Reavers that is not engaged in close combat, and they kill a lot of them. I think they kill 4 of them, if I'm not wrong. The hero tried to shoot the High Elf hero without any, at the end, any effect. Of course, Bretonia is not shooting. And we went in the assault. We start from the bottom, so the Glade Riders assault the Reavers and kill the remaining Reavers, and the Wood Elves assault in the big melee in the middle, and we shuffle some wounds each other, but there was nothing, and we get all stuck there in close combat. So a big melee there in the middle, a big mess. The Knights in the middle trying to use the ruins to give some extra protection to them, and they were positioned in a way that the High Elves were not able to go into the ruins. Lowen and Core, here is where I have the big. I was scared at the beginning. I didn't know that the crossbow can do a round of shooting when you assault them. At this moment, I think Lobo Encore, I arrived to assault, but they put Lobo Encore to only 1 wound. So I assault, then I decide to assault with the Grial Knights, and the Grial Knights roll again a 5, so they were not able to assault the crossbow. So Lobo Encore with only 1 wound had to deal with 30 crossbow. This time I was very lucky with the Couron sword. I think I managed to do 5 wounds, and 5 wounding hits, and each wounding hit is causing these 3 wounds. I also managed to hit with the beak, and the Griffon makes some other wounds, so I kill about 20 crossbow. This means that after the bravery check, they all were dead. And they didn't manage to do a single, the last remaining wound to Lowen Encore, so very happy with this. At the end, I was with only 1 wound remaining with Lowen Encore, but he managed to kill a unit of 30 crossbow. Here we see, these are after the shooting. We see that the rivers, there are only 2 remaining rivers after all the shooting on them, and they are going to be assaulted by the Glade Riders. Here is on the other side, all the Wood Elves preparing to assault into the big melee in the middle, and this is the assault of the Lowen Encore, the king. You see all these tokens are the wounds that he received. I have 9 wounds at this moment. He has 10, so 1 wound remaining. Now a picture of the overall picture. Here is assault of the Wood Elf into the big melee in the middle, the Wood Watchers in one side, all the rivers in the Glengard on the other, and the hero is somewhere here in the middle, is the one I think with the green cape. And this is the assault of the Glengard on the other side, they reach. That way they can protect the sorcerer. And yeah, we kill some of each other. I think the ones that have biggest damage are the rivers and my knights. At this time I still have 6 knights surviving, so it's not that bad. You see that some of my knights now are out of the cover. We'll see how this goes on. And yeah, it's not bad. And here is all this. These are the survival crossbow after the attacks of the King Lowen Encore. So remember, there were about 30 crossbow, and here there is about 9 or 10 crossbows. So big damage. Of course, after they do the bravery test, all of them will run away. Overview, and you see Lowen Encore with 1 wound remaining. They didn't manage to do the last wound. With 1 wound remaining, he's surviving there in the forest. Another overview of the battle. Here, see. We go into the turn 3 for the Empire and High Elves. This moment now is looking very green for them. Sorry, yeah. Lowen Encore didn't receive any damage. This was a mistake from my diagram. Just the only movement is the hero of the High Elf decide to charge to the Glade Riders, and yeah, and there is a big melee in the middle, and they keep in the big melee. So there were some shuffling damage in each side. I think I was suffering a lot of wounds this time on my knights, but they were still surviving. So, and as I'm immune to bravery at this moment, I'm still there. So no, my knights will not go anywhere if my King Lowen Encore is alive. Here you see, I will need to do some. My unit is losing the currency, so I will need to see how. And this is because of the casualties I'm receiving, so I'm going to start losing coherency on my knights unit. But you see, it's a big melee there in the middle. And after all the wounds have been done, you see that the rivers were killed, and all the combat went into the Seaguard, the survivor Seaguards. They still have all the bonuses because the hero of the Seaguard is just fighting the Glade Riders. This now in the turn 3 of Bretonia. You see that the Grial Knights that failed 2 charges are getting now close to the Seaguard to see if now they can. And the King Lobo Lencore managed to recover 3 wounds, so now it's 4 wounds, because he's healing these 3 wounds every hero phase. So in the last hero phase he recovered 3 wounds, and now it's behind the ruins, ready also to assault on the Seaguard. This is what I was explaining. You see there, Lobo Lencore, he has 6 wounds, so 4 wounds remaining, and the Grial Knights just looking through the door if they can charge. Another picture of after the movement of turn 3 of the Bretonia. Pictures. Here we see the big mess in the middle. They kill the hero. First they decide to hit with and we kill the hero there. In the shooting phase, I think they kill the hero in the shooting phase even before we go into the assault, because the Glade Riders can shoot to the hero, as this is the only type of shooting they can do, because they were in close combat with the hero. And here is the assault of the King Lobo Lencore, and he killed the last remaining Seaguard between the shooting of the Wood Elf, because now the Wood Elf can shoot at them because they are in the same close combat, and all the attacks of the King. We clearly killed them all, and was a victory for Bretonia and Wood Elves. So quite interesting. I think, I like a lot. One of my first games on Age of Sigmar. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Very interesting game. That's all. That's all for this moment. So I have to say big things to take into account. Terrain. You don't have to avoid terrain. I think in Age of Sigmar you have to go into the terrain. It's giving more benefits and you have to interact more with the terrain than in 8th edition. And the other thing is, it's very important that you choose very well when to salt and when to move. It's more strategic than what it looks like. If you just run crazy to your opponent, you will die. And I think this is one of the mistakes of our opponents. They expose Calfangs too early in the battle, and then we were able to attack Calfangs from a lot of different sides and finish him with Lobo Lencore, as I can attack before Calfangs because I had my turn, I had the initiative. And that's all for this battle report. I hope you find it interesting. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.